We are now recording. Don't say anything bad about me, okay? Okay. Today we're going to talk about performance monitoring, kind of phase two of the operational planning process here. So let's go ahead and kind of review the operational planning. So what you guys have been through already is operational planning down to the detail level. So you're all kind of experts in operational planning. Now, once you get your plans in the system, we need to be able to monitor those plans. And we like to monitor them at multiple different levels. So we're first going to talk about the macro level, which is at the group level. And then we're going to go into the micro level, which is down in the pyramid, down at the objective and activity level. We're going to talk about the reporting, which can be kind of at any level. And then we're going to talk about VMSG public. How do we create public facing web pages around any of the data elements in the system here? And the reason we do the performance monitoring is, remember, in that do phase, we have that real-time planning where the emails go out to you guys and you fill in the information on the emails, or you go back into the system, fill in the information and keep it updated here. That's where the information for performance monitoring comes from, is your updates to the plan here. So the reason we have those updates, obviously, is so we can check to see how we're doing, checking the plan against the actual, and then if necessary, making the adjustments in there. So we're going to use the same example we've been using before, tobacco cessation, as most of what we're doing today. So let's kind of review the pyramid model. The organization is your health department. Groups is the divisions, the offices, the program. So let's look at your group screen here. So starting at the top, you have the department, always a level 1 group. Anything that reports directly to the department will be a level 2. So you see the FAB 6-pack of plans down here. You see the accreditation group. Under accreditation, we have the FAB accreditation plan, which is a level 3 reporting to level 2. So it's hierarchical down to 10 levels deep, but this is your basic groups screen here. And down at the bottom, we have the training groups that we were working on before with doing your homework and the tobacco program. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to actually build a VMSG public web page using the tobacco example. Each group then has its own set of services or initiatives. Again, services are ongoing things. Initiatives are future programs you're trying to roll out. Each one of those has a set of high-level goals. Each high-level goal has a set of SMART objectives. Each SMART objective has a set of activities. Now, just to review, the tobacco cessation plan in the tobacco group, tobacco cessation was our initiative. Our goal was to reduce smoking in high schools. We're going to use the SMART objective, reduce smoking in Wayne High School by 25% by the end of the school year. And then the activities are the steps we're going to go through to get there. So at the group level, so first thing I'm going to do is go down to our demo department again so we can use known data. That will be USA Public Health, and go to our group screen. Now I'm going to go down to our community health division. If I were the community health director, I'd want to know exactly how community health is performing. If I'm the department, if I'm the chief health officer, I'd want to know how I'm doing at the entire department level, or how is my strategic plan performing? So the macro level performance monitoring is at the group level. So if I select a group like community health, it's got 2 subgroups, tobacco and WIC. Those subgroups are included in my dashboard for community health, because if you think about it, the person who's running tobacco and a person who's running WIC is probably reporting to me, the community health director. So I'm going to want to see my whole area of influence, if you will. So in order to get to the dashboard, I'm going to have a chosen group. Now, each one of you has a default group, meaning when you log in, you go to that group. So let's say, again, I'm the community health director. When I log in, it takes me right to community health. So realistically, I don't even have to go to the group screen or anything to see my dashboard. I merely have to click on the traffic light button up here in the top right corner. Now, what it's going to do now is go into the background, and we have bunches and bunches of demo data in here. So it's going through literally hundreds or thousands of data points to put together a single screen that has the real-time status of community health, again, including WIC and tobacco in here. And it typically takes somewhere between 10 and 15 seconds to generate this screen. So this is the dashboard. Now, the first thing I like to show people is this home page button up here in the top left. What that does is says, which page will I go to when I log in? So the default is the up here in the top right, the gray one is the main menu. You can also set it to be the reports menu. So if my specific function is generating a a report for the health officer once a week or something, I might want to have the reports menu as my homepage. If I'm the health officer, or in this case, community health director, I may not be entering plans, I may not be updating plans, but I want to know again, how is my area of the department reporting? So I might make this my homepage button. So next time I log in, instead of going to the main menu and having to click the dashboard button, it takes me right to the homepage or the dashboard page for my area of responsibility. So the first thing I like to look at is this top left corner. The idea here is to be able to look at the colors and the numbers and get a good snapshot of performance. Right now you can see I'm at the activity level. I can move up to the objective level or the goal level in the pyramid here. And it's going to show me the number of, in this case, activities at each status. So the green, yellow, red, and gold. And then the schedule gauge here is showing me how far ahead or behind schedule are we. And this is across these 10 activities that you see in here. The way that that's calculated is pretty simple. Let's say you have an activity has a beginning date of January 1st and an ending date of December 31st, and today is July 1st. We're exactly 50% of the way through the year. If that activity is only 40% complete, it's 10% behind schedule. 10% of a year is about 36, 37 days. So that's 37 days behind schedule. Now, if we have another one of those activities that is 60% complete halfway through the year, it's 10% ahead of schedule. So again, 36, 37 days. So those two would balance out to be zero, basically. So what it's doing is adding all those together and say, aggregately, we're 8 days behind schedule. Doesn't mean everything's behind schedule. It could be, but probably not at this point in time. Now, the other thing we can look at here is if I wanted to go and look at any one of these specific groups, the red, the yellow, the green, or the gold, I can just click on it. So I'll click on the two for the yellows here to find out these are the two activities that are in yellow status here. And what I might want to do is look at them and say, oh, maybe I need to contact Diane and find out why this thing is still yellow. Or, oh, I forgot to update it. I can go in and update it, change it to green or whatever, and get back there. So anything on that screen you can drill down on and get right to the data elements behind it. Now you got two choices to get back to the dashboard. It's either the back arrow up here in the top left corner or go back to clicking on the traffic light again. I'm going to use the back arrow. Now it's got to recalculate that screen every time. You may wonder, hey, you didn't make any changes. Why do you have to recalculate? Well, remember, it's a multi-user system. You could have literally thousands of people out there working on it. In your case, you have the whole department in there with access. So that's potentially going to change the result on the dashboard screen. So we always recalculate it. And again, it's about 10 to 15 seconds to recalculate that screen. Or maybe 20 seconds today. I don't know. Or 25 seconds. There we go. Okay. So that's the top left corner. I call the big picture here. That's your first snapshot. Down here below, we have drill downs. So we have 3 of them. The first one is our activity leaders. So you can see we have the people that we assigned as activity leads down here in this column. The last time they were in here, it updated their particular activities or objectives down here. And you can see the color code. Green is less than 30 days ago. Yellow, 30 to 60. Red is over 60 days. Again, in an ideal world, it'd be nice if everybody was in the green so you're working with the latest data. The FTE column here, this is the aggregate FTE values that you assigned at the activity level for the person. The reason we put it down here by person is so that you're not overloading people. You want to try to keep everybody at a 1.0 or below FTE. The lagging column says I have an activity here that is calculated to be behind schedule. The same calculation we talked about up here at the top left corner. And then the days is the same as the schedule up here, but for Diane in this case. So overall, Diane is 35 days ahead of schedule for all the activities she's been assigned. It says she does have one activity that's overdue, meaning the ending date of the activity was before today. Excuse me, it's not yet 100% complete. And then we have the number of red, yellow, green, and gold. As you can see, I can drill down on anything on here. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is go to my groups view here. So when I click on that, it's going to recalculate the screen and give me this left column being the groups. In this case, it'll be the top group I selected, community health, plus its subgroups, which again are tobacco and WIC. So it's going to recalculate that screen for me now and give me the same information over here, but specifically for the groups here. And I don't know why the internet is slow today, but okay. So we got community health, tobacco, and WIC here, and then basically the same information I was just describing over here. And my third view is priorities. Priorities are the strategic priorities from your strategic plan. Typically, there's somewhere between 3 and 7 of those. And those strategic priorities are mapped against everything else in the system here. So these happen to be the 5 strategic priorities for our little demo organization strategic plan. And what those are is the services or initiatives for the strategic plan. Basically, what you're looking at is how does the strategic plan map against every other plan in the system? And the way we do that is called 3-dimensional planning, and we will be going over that in the next training. Typically, after you guys get several of your major plans in there, we'll schedule the 3-dimensional planning because it really doesn't make a lot of sense until you have had a lot of time in the system here. But again, what we're looking at is how does the strategic priorities map against everything else in the system, and vice versa? How does everything else feed the strategic plan? Top right corner up here, my priorities. These are just bookmarks. They're individually selectable objectives that you personally want to keep your eye on. So in this case, you see we have a red and a green one up here. And by the way, these lights are real time. So if anything changes in the background, somebody else is working on it, and it changes red to a green, let's say, it's very simple to go in and take that out of there. So if I want to remove this green because it's green, I don't need to watch it. Again, typically these would be reds and yellows, and typically things that you're working on or your team's working on, just want to keep them front and center. So if I click on this one, it's going to take me to that particular objective. And this is the flag down here, this green one down at the bottom that turns it on and off. So if I take and flip that off and the flag goes gray, when I go back to that dashboard screen, it'll be gone up there. You can pick any objective anywhere in the system and click that flag. And the next time you go to your dashboard screen, it's going to show up on there. You'll see it's disappeared now. It'll scroll down forever if you want to put a bunch of them up there. Most times there are a few reds and yellows up there, maybe half a dozen at the most, but you can have as many as you want up there. So that is our dashboard. That is the macro level performance monitoring. And you can do it on your phone. So you may recall that the phone app, I don't know if you guys have actually tried it yet or not. It's not an app per se that you have to download from the App Store. It's actually built just like it is on your desktop in the web browser on your phone. That eliminates having to get permissions and all the regulations and that sort of thing you might be under. So what it basically does is if I go to my web browser on my phone and I go to the same link, the login.vmsgdashboard.com, use the same login credentials, you're going to have the phone app. One of the options here is the dashboard. So this is exactly the same as you saw before, but broken down into 3 screens because of screen real estate on the phone. So top left corner, bottom, top right. And by the way, everything is still clickable on here. I can turn my priorities on and off. I can drill down on any of these activities over here or anything on this screen over here. But again, if you're one of those folks who's out and about and not necessarily in the office all the time and you want to see the status, it's right there available to you. So that was macro level performance monitoring. Can I ask or answer any questions on macro level? Nope. Okay.
Yes. If we wanted to actually generate a report, like print out a report of this, how does that happen?
The reports are separate. We're going to go over reporting in a little bit here.
Okay.
The next thing we're going to talk about is the micro level performance monitoring. So if you recall down at the pyramid, down at the bottom, the objectives and the activities is what we're going to be talking about here. So let's go back to here. I'm going to go to my group screen and I'm going to go down to our tobacco 2024 group. I'm going to navigate on down from tobacco cessation, reduce smoking in high schools, and our first objective here of reduce smoking at Wayne High School by 25% by the end of the school year. Now, the micro level is really pretty simple. It's this chart button right here. So it's a very simple time-based line chart. So it started out at the beginning of the program back in August 15th of 2023. We were at 0% reduction because we just started the program. And we slowly ramped up in our reduction until we got to our 25% target. So this is the basic chart. This is the default. Now you can tweak this chart with several of these values up here. First of all, I can say I only want to see a specific date range. So you can see we go 2023 and then we go to 2024. If I set this end date to, let's say, 12/31/23 and click off of it here, it's going to take all the 24s out of here. So basically, it allows me to look at a specific date. It could be any date range. It could be a couple of days, could be a couple of years, but whatever you want to be able to look at up there. Let's go ahead and change this back to 24, and we'll see the whole screen again. So, if this has been going on for a couple of years, you might want to isolate years at a time or something along that line. Okay, when I do that, I have a couple of choices here. Raw means show me every data point. I'll show you where these come from in a minute here. Show me every data point that's been saved. Or I can say show me only one per day. So if there was multiple data points saved in a day, you just want to see one of them. In this case, let's say I want to see just one per month. Now let's assume that we've been updating this chart every week. And so there's basically 4 data points each month. And I just want to see a monthly data point. Which monthly data point do I want to see? I got my choice of either the last value of the month, so it'd be week 4 of the month, or I could say the average value for the month. Now, the reason the average value is in there is not for a chart that's climbing like this. This is typically going to be, I want to see the last value of the month. What I might say is, if I had remember the activity we had, deliver 9 training sessions each month. So potentially down here going up and down, up and down, up and down around 9. In that case, you might want to see the average and not the last value of the month. So it just gives you the option to do that up there. Over in the top right, because we are on the objective level, the vertical type is set for you. You may recall that when we did the entry of the objective, we had that little title down at the bottom left corner that said objective percent done, and we changed it to percent reduction. And we had the option to go to values or percent. In this case, we selected percent, so it defaults to percent for you up here. The last tweak we have up here is the scale. So you might notice that we're sitting at a maximum scale of 27%. Really, it's 27.5, because what it does is take the highest value in here, 25%, multiplies it by 1.1. So it gives you kind of a nice vertical scale. Let's say I wanted to look at the whole thing on a 100% scale. So now here it is, exactly the same data, by the way. Doesn't look nearly as good to me anyhow. I mean, it's not as impressive knowing that we're growing that fast. Kind of looks like we're almost flat down here. So that's why the auto scale is in there. Now, if you are a manager level user or an org admin level user, not the normal user, you'll have this button down here, the save defaults. So once you tweak all these settings up here the way you want them, you can hit save defaults. And what that does is anytime another user goes in and looks at this chart, it's going to be the way that you saved it. Now, if you're a manager or org admin, you can save it again. You can change it, whatever you want. If you're a normal user, you're going to see that chart and you're not going to have a button to change it in here. So that's kind of what that's all about, is being able to set the default. Now, if I'm a normal user and I go in here and I want to tweak all of these values to look at a specific chart, I can do that. What I cannot do is save it. So only the org admin and manager level users can save it here. So that is micro level performance monitoring. Now, where does that data come from? Let's go back and look at that. I'm going to go back to my objective here. Every time you hit the save button, this little black diskette down here, it saves a history record. The history records are underneath the hourglass here. So if I click on the hourglass, it's going to show me all of the history records for this particular objective from the beginning of the objective, or beginning of time, I guess. So you'll see down here, it's in reverse chronological order. So here's the 8/15/23 data point. It was added by Fred Erickson as it was green when we added it. It was objective number 1. Here's the objective. There was no notes in here, and it was at a 0% reduction. So that's the history file. Couple things you can do with this. You don't really play with this very often, but if you wanted to do a couple things, like let's say you're showing somebody the system and you accidentally generate a duplicate record, it'll warn you if you're going to do that. But if you generate a duplicate record, you can go in here, click on the date field here on the left. You notice it appears down here at the bottom left corner, and you can delete that. So I can delete that duplicate history record in there if I wanted to do that. The other thing you can do is actually change the date on a history record. The only reason that I've ever found that you would actually do that is if you wanted to add historical data. So let's say you had data that you're tracking in a spreadsheet before 8/15 of 23. So you might have an 8/15 of 22 record in there. The way you do that, if you wanted to create a history record, is you're going to set all the values down here the way they were back on 8/15 of 22. You're going to save it. It's going to generate a history record. You're going to go to the history record. It'll be the top record. You're going to click on it. You're going to go down here and change the date to 8/15 of 22, save it. It'll move to the bottom and it'll be the first record in your chart. So you can do that. Again, very seldom ever done, but if you wanted to add historical data, or if you accidentally deleted a record, but you knew what the values were, you can recreate the record, change the date, and away you go. So that is micro level performance monitoring. Any questions on the micro level? Nope. Okay. Reporting. There's a boatload of reports in the system. We're going to talk about 4 of them today. The ones that we're not going to talk about are those ones I was talking about with the 3-dimensional planning. So let's go to your reports menu here. First thing I'm going to do is go back to my Tobacco 2024 group here. Now, a thing to know about reports, and this is kind of critical because it can be very confusing. If I'm at the group level and I've selected a group, when I generate the report, it will be for the entire group. Now, by the way, I can generate a report for the department and say show subgroups, and it'll generate a report including everything in here. It could be literally hundreds of pages long, so be cautious doing that, but you can do it. But down here, I've got Tobacco 2024 selected. Down at the bottom, we call this the cookie crumb. So you notice when I roll over, it says USA Public Health, and then it says tobacco programs for 2024. And there's nothing over here in the service initiative, goal, objective, and activity. So if there's nothing in the service initiative, the report will be generated for the entire tobacco program. Now, if I go down a level to services initiatives and I select tobacco cessation, you notice the 1 appears down here. It's service number, initiative number 1, says tobacco cessation. If I generate the report now, it's going to be just tobacco cessation and not secondhand smoke and tobacco initiation prevention. So you can generate it at 2 levels. The reason for that is you look at your strategic plan, it's a group within itself. The entire strategic plan is within the group. In this particular case, as you recall, when we were doing some of the training operational plans, they started at the service initiative level. So you could have 10 of them in there from different people. You just want to see yours. That's why we give you the option to be able to do that. So to generate the report, I'm going to go to my reports menu, which is the blue one up here at the top right. So these are the kind of the quick select buttons up here. The dashboard, the traffic light, the reports menu, the main menu, help and information, and then the log out up here. So I'm going to go to my reports menu. Now, the report that you will use 90% of the time is the operational plan report. It can be kind of anything you want it to be in here. We're going to look at that one. We're going to look at the team lead report. We're going to look at the partners report and the partners activity report. The ones we're not going to do today are the category tag report, categorization report, and categories report. The reason for that is they're part of the 3-dimensional planning, which we'll go over when we do the 3-dimensional planning training. So today I'm going to look at the operational plan report specifically for the Tobacco 2024 group and tobacco cessation. So I'm going to click on the operational plan report up here. So here's my basic report. When I go down to here, you're going to see the group is Tobacco 2024. The initiative is tobacco cessation. Goal 1 is to reduce smoking in high schools. Everything you see in blue are the notes that you put in there. Then we have the objective, and the notes always appear just below the plan element that they report to, if you will. So these are the notes for the goal. Down here, you see the notes for the objective. Underneath the objective notes, you see the data source. So that's that data source that you can put in there to say, this is where I'm going to go to get the information to update this objective. Then you get down to the activity level, or also at the objective level, you have the objective lead who's assigned. Down here, you have the team who's assigned to the activity. You've got the activity number, the traffic light status. Over here is the current status of the activity. Kind of everything you want to know, but we're afraid to ask. This is a very, very detailed report. But again, you can kind of tweak this report too if you want to. Now you notice those other initiatives aren't down at the bottom. Remember, I selected tobacco cessation, so the other 2 didn't appear on this report. Had I gone to the group level and cleared this field down here, then I would have the other two initiatives down here at the bottom. So the things that I can do up here, the date field is real simple. It's a beginning and ending date. And what I want to say is I want to see just the activities that were supposed to have been completed in November, let's say. So I'm going to put in November 1 through November 30th. What it's going to do is filter out activities with the ending date. So every activity's got an ending date in here that were supposed to have been completed in November. So it's basically just, what am I supposed to have gotten done this month? The other thing you can do is say, hey, I want to go in December 1 through December 31st to see what I'm supposed to get accomplished in December. So it's always the ending date of the activity. Now, as you recall, you can attach documents anywhere in the system. And if I want to see where those documents are attached, I can just click on the documents checkbox here, and you'll see everything in green. These are the documents. It says one document is attached. It gives you the file name of the document. You'll see down here we have 2 documents attached, and they're separated by a semicolon. You can have 100 of them if you want in there. So it's going to line wrap and everything, but they'll all be semicolon separated. But just let you know where the documents are attached. Where this comes in really handy is if you guys are using the accreditation plan and you're attaching the documents to the accreditation plan, typically at the objective or the measure level, then you're going to have the list of all the documents that you've attached when you do that, if you generate the operational plan. So it's a nice tool to make sure that you've got everything in place to do that here. One of the other things you might want to do at some point in time is say, hey, I want to show somebody this operational plan, but there's a whole bunch of notes. And literally you can have pages of notes in there. And I just want to kind of take out the notes so it doesn't, kind of expand out the plan too much. So to do that, I just hit the hide button here. And as all that does is everything in blue disappears for a while. So it gives you the basic plan. And by the way, I've seen plans where one objective has pages and pages of notes because it's been going on for a couple of years and you're continually adding notes in there. So if I want to hide them, I can do that. The next thing I want to take you over is this top right corner. What level of the report do I want to see? I can look at just the services or initiatives, services and goals, services, goals, and objectives, or all the way down to the activity level. Right now, you can obviously see we're at the activity level. If I move that up to just the objective level here, it's going to take out all the activities. So remember, the objectives are the targets. And this, by the way, is a very popular report because it's less detailed than the activity level, but it is still showing me the status at the objective level that I want to see up here. Or I can move up to the goal level here. And then it's going to show just the 3 goals in here without any of the objectives. And I could again hide the notes if I wanted to. Or if I look at just the service level, it's going to show just tobacco cessation. Now, if I were to go back to the group level and regenerate it, it would show tobacco cessation and the other 2 initiatives that are in there. Now, the reason I showed you this up here first is so that I can show you what the status does. The status says, show me just, in this case, activities, because I've selected activities. If I'd selected objectives, the status would be working on objectives, but I want to see just the red activities. So I've got activities selected and I hit the drop down to red, and it's going to filter out everything that's not a red traffic light in the activity here. So again, what that allows me to do is say, if it's red, that means I've got some problems I need to work on. So I've got just this red activity. And again, had I been at the objective level, and let's say I selected yellow, it's going to show me just this yellow objective. So the status field works on, what I have selected up here at the top right. So that's the tweaks that you can make to the report. Now, the question is, how do I get this report out of the system here? There's a lot of different options for this report. First of all, it is a web page in itself. So we give you the option to actually export it as a web page. So you can put this up on your website, whatever you want to do with it. It is a web page. To do that, I click this button on the bottom right. And this is the default report name, VMSG report.htm. I'll click on that. I'm just going to save it on my desktop. You do have to save it first before you do anything with it here. So I'm going to say desktop, and I'm going to go ahead and save it. I'll just leave it that name here. And when it downloads, I'm going to open it up here, and here's the report. So this, like I say, the VMSG report.htm is a web page in itself. You can take that, you can, again, put it on your web servers, whatever you want to be able to do with it. It is a web page. Now, from here, I've got a lot of choices. One of those is, obviously, I want to be able to print it. So to print it, I'm going to use the browser print function. So the 3 dots up here in the top right, if you're using Google Chrome, And then I'm going to go down to my print settings here. Obviously, I can print it to a printer. I can print it to a PDF file. Anything else that you have options to do in your print capability, you'll have that in here. Now, I do recommend that if you're going to print it, my experience, I've seen that if you go to landscape mode, so wide and narrow margins, you're going to get the best looking report. It will adapt to anything that you do. You can put a wide margins and a portrait mode, and it'll adapt, but it's just not going to be as pretty as you do it that way. The other thing that some people like to do is actually put this report into a Word document so they can edit it or highlight it or whatever. Real simple. Click anywhere on the report. Hit Control A, which is select all. Hit Control C, which is copy. Now you're just going to pop open a Word document. Again, recommend setting it to landscape mode and narrow margins, and then hit Control V or just right click and paste or whatever. You'll paste this report into there. The nice thing about this report is in HTML, the web language, if you will. The nice thing about it is that HTML and Word formatting are virtually identical. So this report will look exactly like this in Word. That way, then you can go in here and say, okay, I want to remove this note in here, or I want to highlight reduce smoking at Wayne High School, whatever I want to do. I can do it in Word. So now I've got a Word version of this particular report in there. So that is the operational plan report. Now, I'm going to go back to my groups here. I'm going to go down to community health, go back to my reports menu. The next one I want to show you, and by the way, the operational plan report is the one you use, like I say, 90% of the time. The next most used report would be the team lead report. What that's all about is show me where Fred Erickson is assigned anywhere in the system for objectives or activities. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to go ahead and select Andrea down here. Now I got a bunch of choices at the bottom. So I'm looking in the community health group because I selected that group. So these are the 3 people whose default group is community health. Now at the bottom, I got a couple of choices. When I say individual, that means the person I have selected, in this case, Andrea. If I say group, it'll mean everybody in this group, which would be Diane, Fred, and Andrea. If I say all, it's going to be everybody in the organization. Now, I will forewarn you that if you generate all and you got a lot of plans in there, it's going to take a while to run. So be patient. It'll run it, but it'll take a while. Over here in the bottom right, do I want to look at the objectives that Andrea is assigned to or the activities? I got my choice. Let's go ahead and select objectives here to start with. Now I've got 2 choices. The magnifying glass says, give me an editable screen. So in this case, maybe Andrea's leaving or retiring or whatever, and I want to change her out. So I'll get an editable screen here. So these are all of the objectives that Andrea's been assigned to. And again, you can see the objective lead down here. If Andrea's leaving, I can real simply just go in here and change it out. Now, if you got a whole bunch of objectives, pages of them or something like that, just pop me an email and say, hey, I'm going to replace Andrea with John, and I've got a tool that I can do all that in one fell swoop for you. But if you got a couple of them in here and you want to change them out, it's real simple to go to this particular page here. I'll go back to here. Again, the other option that I have is generating a report. And again, I can look at the activity. Now, if I'm looking at the activity level, I've got a couple of choices. Remember, at the activity level, I can assign a person as a lead or a team member. Or if I want to see whether they're either a lead or a team member, just meaning that they are attached to the activity in any status, I can do that. So in this case, I might want to say, I just want to see where Andrea is a team lead or a team member, and I want to look at the activity level, and I want to report. So I'll go ahead and click on that. It'll take a few seconds to generate the report. Now, the thing that is nice about this is if you're one of those managers who likes to do monthly one-on-ones with your folks, wouldn't it be nice to have a report that gives you all the detail of everything that they've been working on for any period of time that you want in there? So this is everything that, in this case, it says team lead or member, Andrea shown, gives you her FTE values, aggregates, that sort of thing. But it shows you every activity that she's been working on down here. So, in my case, I'm going to go in and print this report off, maybe give a copy to Andrea, copy for myself, and we're going to sit across the table from each other on a one-on-one and just kind of walk through and say, hey, how are we doing on each of these activities in here? So it does give you a lot of information that you can use for reviews or whatever. So that is the team lead report in here. That's pretty much all. So you can get the editable screen at the activity or objective level, or the report at the objective or activity level. Let's go back to here. I'm going to go back to my community health, go back to my reports menu. The next one I want to show you, as you recall, you can have external partners attached to activities. Once you go getting those partners into the system here, you might want to go say, hey, I want to see a list of all of my partners. And that's all this is here, is a list of the partners. Now you got some choices over here. I'm going to say I'm selecting VMSG dashboard. If I wanted to see just the information about VMSG dashboard, I can say print selected partner only. I'm going to say no, I want to see them all. Then I can say, do I want to print the contacts? So remember, you can have as many contacts as you want assigned to each partner. I want to say, yeah, I want to see every contact. And do you want detail? Detail means email addresses, phone numbers, fax numbers, that sort of thing. I'll go ahead and say yes. Now I'm going to hit the print report, and that's all it is simply a report of each partner, name, address, all that kind of stuff. The contact names in here, their email addresses, phone numbers, fax numbers, and what they actually do in the organization in there. So this is just a list, and you don't really use this until you get a lot of partners in the system and you want to go through and you go down here and say, oh, Joe's car seat went out of business. We can take them off our partners list. Then you can go in and swap them out, and we'll show you that in a second here. So that's the partners report. The next thing you might want to see is the partner activities report. So just like the team lead report, if I want to see every place that VMSG dashboard, either the organization on the left here or the person within that organization. So I could have, let's say I had 10 contacts down here at VMSG dashboard, and I just want to see what Fred Erickson is involved with in our department here. So again, I've got the two choices. I can either do the editable screen or the report, just like you saw as an identical report to that, except by partner. And over here on the left, if I wanted to say any place that any contact at VMSG dashboard is, I can use these buttons on the left here. So let's go ahead and say I want to see the editable screen for Fred Erickson at VMSG dashboard. So it's going to go back and dig through everything in the department and give me that. So this is what we have. These are the objectives that, the activities that Fred Erickson at VMSG dashboard, you can see down here at the bottom, are assigned to. So it's just a simple way. And again, Fred is leaving the organization. We're going to replace him with somebody else. It gives you exactly the ones that you need without having to search through it or anything along that line. So that is the partners report. Those are the 4 reports I wanted to go over today. Again, when we get into the 3-dimensional planning, we'll go into the other 3-dimensional planning reports. But these will get you through, for today, it'll get you through everything that you'll be using in there. So that was the report. The next thing I want to talk about is VMSG Public. VMSG Public is, again, just a simple way to create public-facing web pages around any plan elements in the system here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a web page. I'm going to go back to Burlington here. And I'm going to go to our group screen. I'm going to go down and select the Tobacco 2024 group. And I'm going to build a VMSG Public web page. I'm going to move down a couple levels here. I want to see the web page for reduced smoking in high schools. So I'm going to start there. You'll notice, you may have noticed, every page has this button. This is VMSG Public. So if I click on this button, it's going to say, what level do I want to summarize? And it's looking at traffic lights. I want to say the activities level. If I was up a level here, it would say I could summarize at the goal level or objectives or activities. I'm going to say activities. I'm going to click on this. What it's going to do is generate what we call an indicator row for the entire reduce smoking in high schools goal. You'll see the roll over here. It says we have 3 complete, 1 yellow, 3 green, and we're 50 days ahead of schedule. Great. That's the entire program here. I'm going to save that. So now we've got the indicator row saved. Now let's go back to our objectives here, and I got 2 of those. Reduce smoking at Wayne High School. Let's generate the row for that. And because the only choice is objectives, it doesn't give you that drop down. And it says, again, you got the rollovers. You got 85 days ahead of schedule at Wayne High School. We'll save that. And then let's go back up to our second objective, Desert Vista High School, and we'll generate that. And okay, Desert Vista, it says we have 2 complete and 1 green, and we're 4 days ahead of schedule. So I'll save that. So these are the indicator rows that are going to appear on the web page. I'll show you what you can do, a lot of things you can do with this. But for now, if we just want to generate the web page in this order, I hit the export button here. You will notice that over here on the left, on the sort, it's 10, 20, 30. So there's 10 in between. The reason we did that is if I wanted to move Desert Vista up ahead of Wayne High School, I can just make it number 15 down here, and it's going to move up, in order. So it'll always print them in the order you selected. I'm going to go ahead and generate the web page here. And here it is. So we have up here, we have the reduce smoking in high schools goal. And then underneath that, you can see we have the objective of Wayne High School, the objective of Desert Vista High School. And again, we have the rollovers to give you the idea of, how far along are we actually. So this is what the web page would look like. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say, let's go ahead and save the web page here. Save that. It gives me the ability to put in a description. I'm just going to say, tobacco training page, and I'll save that. Now, this is the link right here. And you may notice it's up on our secure server, so it's always available to you. But if I wanted to take this link and open it in a web browser, put it in an email, put it up on our public facing web page, all I gotta do is just copy it. Control C will copy that. I'm gonna go up and pop open a new browser tab, Control V, enter, and there's our web page up here. So this is the web page we just created. It literally is that simple. And you can include any plan element at any level. Where I see this using the most is once you get your strategic plan in there, maybe you want to give the status of your strategic plan to the board for their meeting. The top row would typically be the group, the strategic plan group. And then underneath that, you'd have a row for each of the strategic initiatives. So let's say you have 5 of those down there. So you'll have the entire plan, and then you'll have 5 of those down here, and it'll give them a real good snapshot. Now, that's the way you generate an indicator row or an indicator page here. The left side of this, from the left side of this chart all the way over, is kind of a mini web page in itself. Now, you'll probably never use that. I'm going to forewarn you. But if you decide, if you're familiar with HTML language and you want to build anything into here, like you can take out anything other than the reduce smoking in high schools if you don't want to have all the rest of the pyramid. It by default puts the pyramid levels in here that you can see. But I can kind of do anything I want over here. Now let's go back and look at some of the potential. So these are the codes that we use by default, and I'll show you how to go in and change those if you want to. The font code is real simple. Now, if you're familiar with HTML, this is a piece of cake. If you're not, just Google HTML tags, and there's thousands of web pages that are really, really good on teaching you how to do HTML. Again, you may never use this. You don't have to use it. But if you do want the chance to go in and be creative with it, you can do it. So you got the font here. The font is Arial, just like it is in Word or something. Sizes, I think, go from 1 to 7. Color, you can put in pretty much anything you want. You can put in dark pink, and it'll come up with something that's dark pink in there. You can also put in the 6-digit codes, a pound sign and 6-digit codes for color and size. So lots of options in there. This is the text we're going to be working on here. So I closed the font bracket here with a slash font, and it ends up looking like this. So all of this gets you text here that looks like this. If I want to bold anything in there, I just put the bracket B and the bracket slash B around it, got bold text. Same thing with italics. The bracket I, bracket slash I, I've got italics. If I wanted to make bold italics, I can put the I up in front of the B and put this I behind the B, and it'll be bold italics. And then the last one we use is BR, or line break, just carriage return. So it's a vertical space. Typically, they go at the end of the line, and you can put bracket BR, bracket BR, bracket BR, and you'll have 3 vertical spaces in there. And here's how you go about doing that. So I'm going to go to the main menu and scroll down to the bottom where it says VMSG Public Manage Performance Indicator Rows. That's the same page you saw before. Now, if I go down here, you'll notice here's your HTML code down here. Again, you don't have to ever touch this, but I can go in and take out everything other than reduce smoking in high schools. Let me just go ahead and do that here. Oops. And take away the close tags over here and save it. And so instead of having all that other code in there, just says reduce smoking in high schools, this is the preview for the row. When I look at it, you notice all the other stuff went away. It's just that. So you can do anything you want. Now, couple of things you can do if you wanted to, if you want to play with it, you could put a link in here. So let's say you generated an operational plan report for reduce smoking in high schools. So it has everything you want in that operational plan report with the detail. You can put a link in here that says, click here for more detail. And you click the link, it pops open a new browser tab with that report in it. So you can do that. I've seen some people put some graphics over here. You can do different things with that, what are smiley faces or whatever you might want to do in there. You can put graphics in there. Again, just for those who want to get creative with this, you can kind of do anything you want to do with it here. And that was what I had to go over today. Questions? What else can I show you?
I think that's good. It's an awful lot, and I'm glad we recorded the session.
Yes, and thank you for reminding me, because as soon as we get off, I will put it up on YouTube and send you the links.
Thank you.
Yeah, and by the way, on any of these things, still, I mean, I'm going to reinforce that no matter where I am up here, I have access to the direct help for that just by clicking on the help button up here. If I click on that, it says I was in adding managing groups. I've got that. It'll walk you through anything. All of the recording. So the recording that we did today is kind of duplicated in here under reporting or dashboard or whatever. And it's this button right down here. It's a video recording basically of kind of what we went over today. So that's always available to you. I'm always available to you. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to me. Well, thank you, everybody. Happy Monday. I hope everybody has a wonderful week. And if you need anything at all, please feel free to reach out.
All right, thank you. And just to let you know, we did receive the certificates and they've been distributed to everyone.
Oh, great. Hope everybody likes them.
They're very nice. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.